Tunisia's government demands for more oxygen cylinders to respond to the increase in COVID-19 cases. And German-based Gambian journalist rewarded for her immense contributions during the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, these and more coming your way in News Desk. Hello, this is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, commuters of the Serekunda market decry over the constant increment of fares as well as the traffic congestion, especially during the corridor preparations. Binta Fati has more details of that in this report.
The unlawful increment of fares has been ongoing for a long time, with the corridor preparations making matters worse as more people come to the open markets to buy articles for the Eid. Fatmata Keita, a native of New Yundum, says he pays almost $200 to get home.
Transportation in the Gambia here is too critical. Today we want to pay $200 is almost when coming from Yundum to Serekunda. Serekunda to Yundum, you pay about $75 or so. This is simply because vehicles don't really want to reach their various destinations. They will charge you money. This is how they will do this is. An apprentice will come and tell you, I'm going to Latrikunda, charge you. Latrikunda, Tabokoto, they will charge you. Tabokoto, Serekunda, and some of them, they will not even reach the garage. This is very sad indeed. I think the government should look into this.
Ibrahima Jaju, a native of Kasama, Senegal, is of the view that the drivers take advantage of the festive period to increase fares, which he strongly condemns.
I came here, but honest to God, the fare is kind of expensive. From here to Brikama, they are charging you $50. You know that is expensive. They are taking advantage of the feast, I can say, to increase the fares, and that is wrong. Normally, they should help people because of the fasting. There are too many expenses, there is no money, and they know that the coronavirus affects lives. They should leave this and reason. Let them reduce the fares and help people, for God's sake. Here, life is so expensive.
While the public described the actions of drivers as unjustifiable, Asanjan, a driver from Medina Serimas, blamed the situation on the traffic and poor roads in the country, calling on the government to help reconstruct the roads for the benefit of all.
So problem bi buñ ko fogg ne ci driver la. Driver bi mu ngay xol nan la mëna def nit ñi mënu ñoo ñaka dem.
Let's not think the problem is the drivers alone. People will have to travel, and the drivers cannot afford not walking. The drivers will see how he can walk and earn profit and give something to the owner of the vehicle, and for the vehicle to last longer. For instance, if you were going to Brikama in the past, if you were to spend 1 hour, now you will be spending 1 hour 30 minutes or 2 hours. So the driver will be thinking of all this to ensure that he has profit. Usually, customers will only see it as just going, but no matter how difficult it may be, the driver has no right for you to alight. He will have to take you to the agreed destination because you are paying him if he were using 1 liter of fuel. He might be using 3 liters. The government should help us with roads. That is the only problem. If we don't have another highway, let them reconstruct the ones in town so that we can walk fast and our vehicles will not be spoiled.
Increment of fares by drivers supposedly due to the poor roads leading up to traffic congestions force commuters to pay multiple fares or risk being stranded on the streets or garages for hours without a vehicle. For Africa TV News, I am Binta Fati.
Passengers in Serekunda are lamenting on the frequent increase of fares during the preparation of the corridor celebrations. Now, African women in Europe has delivered awards to 50 men and women for their achievements despite the COVID-19 pandemic. The 2021 AWE Awards, a platform to celebrate and honor the talents. especially or achievements and positive impact of African women and youth in Europe. German-based Gambian journalist Nyima Jadama received the award for taking risk and breaking the ground to better up the African economy through her programs. Nyima is the founder and host of the Nyima's Bantaba TV show in German, English, and enlighten migrants and refugees across the globe. Speaking to Africa TV, Nyima reflected on her work during the pandemic that attracted global attention. Here is her insert.
So basically, I do a lot of work, and actually, I'm like, okay, I think I really deserve this because I do a lot of things at once. And sometimes I ask myself if I really have a life myself, because I do different work. So first of all, I'm a social facility manager aside my journalism work. So here we work with homeless people, migrants and refugees. So I'm basically responsible for the office and communication organizing. I do consultations for refugees and migrants and homeless people to find them homes, to help them with their residence permit, guide them to lawyers. I do translation, Mandinka English, Wall of German, and so on. So I do all of this, and we give them tea, coffee outside. During this Ramadan, I had a project like whole month where we are on the street every day. We give them food to break their fast because, mind you, we have tons of Gambians where I work, and they break their fast in the park. So we give them food, we give them tea for free and all that. So apart from that, I am a trained journalist, and I host the Nyima's Bantaba talk show where I focus on empowering women, migration, cultural differences, and of course, we highlight a lot, give voice to the voiceless, like the migrants and women. So here is a platform where refugees, migrants, women could be empowered, could actually speak their mind in a language that they understand, because it's German, English. So it's actually easy you don't have to go to the stress of I didn't speak German, so I'm not a part of the program, or I can't tell my story. So it's like a safe space where migrants and refugees, women and so on can actually discuss about issues affecting them and bring solutions to them.
Congratulations to Nyima, and we will bring you more details of our reactions to the award. And we'll move on to other news, because the impact of the global health crisis has made life more challenging for people with disability in Nigeria. They were among people that were forced to stay at home during the pandemic, while most people depend on when moving around. Now, as featured in this report, a young Nigerian amputee narrates her experience during the lockdown, despite initiating her own business to boost her income. And here's more details of that in this report.
This is 35-year-old Aveshima Akiger. At first glance, one can't tell she's a person with a disability. Young and out of school in 2003, Aveshima lost one of her limbs in a road accident. Life's been difficult as an amputee, and for many like her, it's been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The outbreak of this COVID has really been a challenge, because going out of your comfort zone has been limited. At a time that it was a total lockdown, they were not going out. So, when you have a disability, sometimes you just need to go out and mingle with people and have this sense of belonging. But when there was a lockdown, those people were not going out and they were always indoors. Life was really, really difficult.
Despite all odds, Aveshima is not giving in to self-pity. The English language graduate has perfected her catering skills and is making money from it. COVID-19 rocked the entire globe, halting activities and grounding economies. But for people with disabilities, it became harder to cope. And that's largely because many require help moving around, and that was inaccessible during the lockdown.
Persons with disabilities during the COVID-19, I will talk specifically about the deaf people. At first, you will sit at home and you'll be watching this news on TV, and then you will not see a sign language interpreter. They were not carried along. So they don't know if they needed to wear masks. They don't know if they needed to wear masks or not. They don't know if they needed to do social distancing or not, because there were no people there to interpret for them to know what was happening.
Statistics from the International Disability Alliance show that an estimated 25 million people are living with disabilities in Nigeria. That's about 15% of the nation's population. Nigeria passed a law to protect persons with disabilities in 2019, but there's still much left to be done to close the exclusion gaps.
What disability need is not sympathy but empathy. What should be done for persons with disabilities is an inclusive environment. When I mean inclusive, is both infrastructure, jobs, and everything.
Despite the difficulties brought about by COVID-19, Aveshima and many like her are adjusting by leveraging on internet and technology, as they hope that society gives them a better chance at life.
The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic makes life harder for people with disability in Nigeria and many other countries around the world. Now, due to the resurgence of the COVID-19 infection in Tunisia, the country's prime minister has urged stakeholders in the public and private sector to import more oxygen cylinders from other countries to avoid further shortages. Tunisia commended Algerian authorities for allowing them to import oxygens that helped in saving many lives during this demanding period of the pandemic. The North African country has initiated a response committee to monitor and assess the availability of medical equipment in different health centers. And let's have more details of that in this report.
The Prime Ministry has urged stakeholders in the public and private sectors to find solutions to import oxygen cylinders from neighboring countries.
It's unacceptable that we are surprised by the shortage of the medical oxygen. We've been warning for 2 weeks against the spread of the pandemic and the surge in cases. Consequently, hospitals need more oxygen cylinders. Today, all parties involved must provide oxygen by importing cylinders by air and sea freight.
The government of Hisham Ashishi extended thanks to Algerian authorities for providing Tunisia with large quantities of oxygen.
The number of patients is on the rise. The national need for oxygen increased suddenly. So we've informed the Algerian authorities, and Algeria has allowed us exceptionally to import oxygen cylinders. We thank Algeria for this solidarity, which has saved lives during this difficult period.
Tunisian and Algerian civil society organizations have donated 2,000 personal oxygen rescue kits.
We launched a pilot project and distributed 6,000 personal oxygen rescue kits in Algeria. The operation was successful. That's why we are now operating in Tunisia to help combat the pandemic.
Tunisia's government has created an advisory committee to assess the pandemic response. The committee will be responsible for monitoring efforts to strengthen the capacity of hospitals, as well as the availability of medical oxygen and medical equipment. Prime Minister Hisham Ashishi has announced that all means will be made available to the health department to avoid shortage of oxygen as COVID-19 cases surge in Tunisia. The Strategic Health Operations Center will monitor oxygen supply operations.
Tunisia needs more oxygen cylinders to save lives as the number of COVID-19 cases increases in the country. Well, there's more news coming ahead, but for now we'll take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back, and this is Africa TV, and once again, many thanks for joining us. Now to some political news. The newest name among about 20 connected with interest to become next president of the Gambia is Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, who doesn't need a political party or independent candidature. Speaking to Africa TV, Mr. Kurang said the common call for system change for the country needs his intervention to produce a mass educational elite. Our reporter, Kajit Seka, has more of that in this report.
As the race for the seat of the presidency in December 2021 is 7 months away, at least 19 political parties are intact, almost doubling of the number from the last general election during the same period in 2016. Gambian electorates are unfamiliar with choosing from dozen political parties during presidential elections, as they have only had to make choices among about 5 options. This time, in addition to the registered political parties, up to 4 independent presidential candidates have made up their minds for the country's top job. Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, who recently announced his intention of joining the presidency race, is relying on mass education policy to bring about rapid development.
You see, when you want to develop a country, you don't have to invent your own formula. What you need to do is to look at formulas that have worked in other smaller and bigger countries, and then bring that formula. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and bring that formula to your country. No country in this world has been able to achieve rapid and mass development without rapid and mass education. And as a teacher, I can tell you that our plan is to develop this country through, first of all, rapid, mass, democratize the education system, make it easy and accessible. Look at
Given the limited time to the elections, Mr. Kurang said the number of candidates does not limit his chance of winning because Gambia needs a reformer, and a reformer is found in him, despite being new in the limelight.
I think we want to redefine the debate before December 4th. What we want to tell people is that we have elected a president in 2016, and after we come out of the 2016 election, everybody asking, who is he? Who is he? Until today, they are asking, who is he? The Gambians don't want the who is he question to happen again. So people are asking, whoever put your name to be president, it doesn't matter how many names are there, we must keep asking, who is he? Americans say, what have you done before you contest for the presidency? So the question, the debate we are trying to redefine in this country is, what have you done?
Mamadi Kurang called on his fellow citizens to elect someone who would work towards the betterment of their country.
I think the December 2021 election is about the next 10 years until 2031. So I think Gambians have to make a good choice to put in somebody whose track record matches his words, and somebody who has the vision to take this country to a better place in the next 10 years.
The aspiring presidential candidate is an educationist with more than 25 years of experience. He is the founder and chief executive officer of Jollof Tutors. In 2013, he was awarded to train the public service accountant and university students for the government of Liberia in preparation for professional exams. He served as a consultant for the United States through the Government Economic Management Support Program. In June 2017, he was appointed as the secretary to the Janneh Commission by the government under President Adama Barrow to investigate financial management of former APRC ruler Yahya Jammeh. Khadijatu Seka, iAfrica News.
One of Gambia's independent candidates speaking to iAfrica's Khadijatu Seka on his readiness to bring solutions to Gambia's political concerns. Now, from that report there by Khadijatu, next we move to South Africa, because a South African entrepreneur has joined the fray to help his country overcome the challenges of waste management. The country's Environmental Affairs Department said most of the plastics found in the ocean and waterways are due to littering, thereby negatively impacting the environment. Now, despite the challenges, the businessman has been recognized of his efforts to protect his community from environmental hazards. And let's have more details of that in this report.
According to the United Nations, around the world, people buy about 1 million bottles per minute. Half of them end up in the landfills and the ocean. The Environmental Affairs Department asserts that much of the plastic waste in the country's oceans, rivers and waterways is due to littering, inadequate waste management and overflowing landfills. But a number of South Africans are now attempting to be part of the solution. Mandle Nkosi is one of them. He started a small entity called Man Recycling.
My biggest concern is the waste that goes to the marine and get burned. It damages our environment, the ozone layer, the marine. The climate change is so affected by the failure to recycle, especially in the rural areas. That's why I'm saying people must recognize this is a huge opportunity for us to venture into a new business.
While always concerned about plastic waste in his community, desperation led him to this industry.
It was a matter of bringing bread on the table for my family. I was really desperate because I lost my job. I was not working at the time. I started slowly and small, but eventually grew to what it is today. I was towing a trolley from the street, and I managed very well, some good savings.
Then a short while later, his local municipality recognized his efforts and gave him access to many areas where he could pick up large amounts of waste. These days, Man Recycling operates from a secure building and collects over 18 tons of plastic waste a month. This plastic waste is then turned into usable products.
This is a storage site. It's like a warehouse. All this stuff that comes from this different transfer station comes here for sorting and the packaging so that we can send it to the correct mills. We collect a number of different products, like the plastics. As you know, plastics are different. The beverage container plastics is called the PET. Plastics, we collect that and we sort it, package it according to the color. The clear ones one side, the green ones one side, the brown ones one side. We also deal with the HDPE, they call it HDPE. It is the plastic that contains most of the time the milk, amasi, your jik, your handy, all that kind of stuff, you know, the plastics are totally different.
Nkosi has recently been awarded a certificate from PET Recycling Company, or PETCO, in recognition of his work. PETCO supports recyclers with community programs, educational material, and awareness programs on recycling.
Yeah, you can just carry on now.
A South African entrepreneur there, of course, initiating plans to respond to environmental challenges in his country. And from that inspiring report there, we eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on iafrica.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and do have a very pleasant day. Bye for now.